Hello everybody, and welcome to Independent Art Storytime. I thought, as we're getting close to Christmas, it might be nice to share a festive tale, and I've chosen one of my favourites. It's called The Box of Delights by John Masefield, and today we're going to read part of chapter 1. As Kay was coming home for the Christmas holidays after his first term at school, the train stopped at Musborough Junction. An old man ringing a handbell went along the platform crying, "Musborough Junction, change for Tatchester and Newminster." Kay knew that he had to change trains there with a wait of 40 minutes. He climbed down onto the platform in the bitter cold and stamped his feet to try and get warmth into them. The old man ringing the handbell cried, "All for Condicott and Tatchester, all for Yorkadine and Newminster, go to number 5 platform by the subway." As the passengers set off towards the subway entrance, Kay put his fingers into his pocket for his ticket. It wasn't there. Did I drop it in the carriage, he wondered. He went back to the carriage. "Stand back, master, please," a porter said. "We're going to shift the train." "Please, I think I've dropped my ticket." "Oh, well, 1 minute then," the porter said, opening the door. "Which seat were you sitting at, master?" "Here," Kay said. He looked under the seat and in what he called the crink between the back and the seat, and there was no ticket there. "I don't seem to see it," the porter said. "Had you it when you punched the tickets at Blunafon?" "Yes." "Well, you better explain at the subway. We've got to shunt this train." The train presently moved away. Kay went to a bench where he'd left his bag and began to rummage through all his pockets. He felt that the ticket collector who was watching him at the subway gate was beginning to think him a rather suspicious character. An Irish terrier came up to Kay, sniffed at him and wagged the stump of his tail. "Good boy," Kay said. "Nice old boy then," and rumpled his head for him, which made the dog bounce about with delight. Still, he couldn't find the ticket. Two men who'd been standing near the subway entrance watching the people go out moved up to the bench and sat down upon it. Kay had noticed them, for he had been told that detectives often stand near ticket collectors watching for escaping murderers. He had thought, probably, those are two men from the yard after somebody. Now he thought, supposing they arrest me for not having a ticket. "Well," one of the men said, "he's diddled us. Simply not on the train. There's the description sent. Travelling first class, in appearance like a French cavalry colonel, with waxed moustaches, very smart and upright, height 5 feet 8, age about 40 to 45. He's hopped off the train where it slowed down somewhere, depend upon it." "We better telephone at once that he wasn't on the train." "Asses that we are!" the other cried suddenly. "Oh, silly chumps and fatheads! Of course, he's got under a seat in the first-class carriage and he's been shunted away. Quick, quick, we may get him yet in the shunting yard." "Of course that's it," the other said. "Lively then." At once the two men ran off past the subway entrance and away along the platform in the direction in which the train had gone. Now that the men were running, it seemed to Kay that some dogs, which he'd not noticed before, were running with them. "They are Alsatian dogs," he thought, "but they seem thicker in the shoulder than most Alsatians." "Why, of course," he exclaimed. "They are police dogs, and they are going to be put on the scent. Oh, I do wish I knew what the criminal had done." As he watched, one of the men paused in his run to signal with his hand to a man on number 5 platform, who signalled back with a real pair of handcuffs and then ran out of the station. "I say," Kay said to himself, "I've never been so near to detectives before. Oh, I do wish I could find this ticket." The Irish terrier was back at his feet again, begging to have his head rumpled, which Kay did for him. Then he noticed that the owner of the dog was standing near him. He was a little old man in a worn grey overcoat. He had travelled there in the end of the coach of Kay's train. Since leaving the train he had been on the platform end, securing a big case in a cover of green baize. This he now carried in his hand. "Ah, young master," the old man said, "I see that my Barney dog has made friends with you at first sight. That's the time that likings are made. And you are looking for your ticket, which, lo, is on the platform, dropped at your feet." "Why, so it is," Kay said, picking it up. "So it is. Thank you ever so much." "You must have slipped it out as you rummaged," the man said. Kay noticed that the man had very bright eyes, alert as a bird or a squirrel's. "We must be moving along, young master," he said, "or they'll be wondering if we've got no tickets." "Could I give you a hand, please, to help carry your case?" Kay asked. He noticed that it was an awkward load for the little old man. "No, thank you, master," the old man said, "but if you would be so kind as to steady her when I swing her, then I could get her to my back, which is where she rides a triumph. Only I do date from pagan times, and age makes joints to creak, or doesn't it?" "I should think it does," Kay said. "Now I'm going to swing," the old man said, "and keep it you, young master, from rolling me over, if you would be so gracious." He swung his bundle up to his shoulder, and indeed, if Kay had not been there to steady it, the load might have pulled him over. He had a little, frail, old, withered body, like the ghost of ninepence, as he said. Kay walked with him through the subway to number 5 platform, and there helped him to set down his bundle at the seat. After this he went to the refreshment room and bought some biscuits for Barney, which the old man was very grateful. After this, as there was still half an hour to wait before the Condicott train came in, he tried to get to the shunting yard to find out if the detectives had caught the criminal and what the criminal had done. He was not allowed in the shunting yard. The young porter who headed him off at the gates told him that no one was allowed in. Kay asked if the detectives had found the criminal under one of the seats. "What, just now?" the porter asked. "Yes, they got him. He was under one of the seats dressing up as a duchess. In another minute he'd have finished, so not even the Prime Minister would have told the difference." "What had he done?" Kay said. "Done?" the porter said. He was a bad one. He had a row with his father-in-law, and he got a big sharp knife and cut the poor old man up, put him through the mincer and sold him to the dog's meat man. The dog's meat man wouldn't have noticed, only one of the buttons stuck in a dog's throat, and the lady who owned the dog complained, and then it all came out, and it's thought it isn't the first man he's put through the mincer. It's a habit that's been growing on him for some years." "What will be done to him?" Kay asked. "He'll get the rope," the porter said. "Madame Tussaud are offering any money already for the mincer he did the deed with." "I say," Kay said, couldn't you let me peep in and see him where he is with the detectives?" "Oh, they've gone a long while," the porter said. "They had a special car and went off at once to London with an armed guard." Kay was thrilled with the story, but as he walked back to the platform, he wondered whether the porter had been telling the truth. He bought a newspaper, but could find nothing at all about any such crime. And while he was searching through the newspaper, the train came in. He got into a carriage and was soon on his way home. When he'd been taken to school in September, he'd gone by car. And he was now returning home through a country quite new to him by a railway line which he'd never travelled before. The train passed out of the meadows into a hilly land, beautiful with woodlands and glens. And in spite of the bitter cold, Kay was much interested in this new country. Some of the hills had old camps on them. On the headlands were old castles, and in the glens there were churches which looked like forts. He took from his bag a cycling map of the countryside, and by this he picked out hills, castles and churches as the train went past them. Soon all the land to the left of the railway was a range of low wooded hills of the most strange shapes. He read the name on the map, Chester Hills. "What a wonderful place," he said to himself. "I do wish I could come here to explore." While he was looking through the window at these hills, he heard a scratching at the door leading to the train's corridor, and glancing in that direction he saw the Irish terrier Barney was standing on his hind legs looking at him through the glass. He went to him, opened the door and patted him, and after a minute the dog went scuttering off down the train. "I suppose," he said to himself, "that the old man is in the train somewhere. I'd forgotten all about him, thinking about the murderer." The train drew up at a station. "Hope under Chesters," he read. That was the little river then, is the Yock, and the Chesters' camp. It must be a Roman camp from the name, and that is Hope Cross. There must have been a battle here, for it's marked with crossed swords, and the map shows a lake only a couple of miles away. He stared at the hills. It was a grim winter morning, threatening a gale. Something in the light, with its hard, sinister clearness, gave mystery and dread to those hills. They look just the sort of hills, Kay said to himself, where you might come upon a dark tower and blow a horn at the gate for something to happen. The train was about to start. The whistle had blown and the station master had waved his flag, when there came cries from the ticket office of, "Hold on, wait half a minute!" and two men rushed across the platform and scrambled into Kay's carriage just as the train moved off. The men took the further corner seats. They planted a little and looked at Kay. Both were in the black clothes of theological students. "They didn't give us much time," one of them said. "The news has only just come through," the other said. They were both youngish men, about 23, Kay thought. Somehow he didn't like the men nor their voices, which made in some foreign tongue one or two remarks, which Kay judged to be about himself. After this, as the train went on, they spoke to him. One of them, who was a pale, eager-looking man with foxy hair, said, "Going home for the holidays? Ha-ha, what?" And when Kay said, "Yes, please, sir," the other said, "And very seasonable weather it is too. We are having to have snow, it seems, and no doubt you will enjoy snowballing and tobogganing and making snowmen." Kay said that he did, and he began to like this other man who had a round, rosy, chubby face with fair hair, and yet there was something about him. Kay couldn't quite put it into words. He had kind of a sort of it was more in his eyes than anything else. "Are you going far, may I ask?" the chubby man said. "I'm going to Condicott," Kay said. "Ah, indeed, Condicott Junction," the chubby man said. "And I wonder if the Christmas holidays you will ever do card tricks?" "If you please, sir, I don't know any." "Ah, but you're of a studious turn, I see, how? What? With your maps and your food for the mind?" the foxy-faced man said. "I wonder if I might try and teach you a simple card trick, since we are to be fellow travellers." Kay said that that would be very kind, but he was afraid that he would be stupid at it. "I see that you will be very clever at it," the foxy man said. "Don't you think, Tristan, he has the face of one certain to be very clever at card tricks?" "The very face," the other said. "Just the facial angle and the Borroman index," the foxy one went on. "Now let me see if I have my cards. I usually carry cards because I am much alone, and I find the games of patience a great mental solace. Ah, yes, I have my old companions." He produced a little pack of green-backed cards in a dull leather case. "Let nothing tempt you to play cards with strangers in a train or ship or anywhere," the chubby man said. "I am inclined to agree with you, Lancelot," the foxy man said, "but there will be no harm in showing him one of the tricks by which sharpers deceive the unwary. Let me show you the commonest trick. It's often called spotting the lady." He dealt out 3 cards, one of which was the Queen of Clubs, the other 2 low hearts. "See there," he said, "mark me well. I twist them, I shift them, and lo, now, which is the lady?" He dealt out 3 cards. It's this one," Kay said. "So it is, so it is," said the man. "What it is to have young eyes, Gawain, is it not?" "It was not his young eyes, but your clumsy dealing," the other said. "Ha!" the foxy-faced man said. "I lack practice. I see. I must give myself some incentive. I will back my skill. Now, then prepare. If you beat me this time, you shall have 6pence. for indeed I must be put upon my mettle. Now watch the whirling cards, they shift, they lift, they dive. Twiddle, 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 pussycat and fiddle strings. Can you tell the lady this time? Yes, Kay said. She is here. And here is your sixpence, the man said. And yet I thought I was discreet, but you have an eye like a lynx. Now, may I try once again? You are too young, you are too short, there is no getting around it. Now, no denial, if I beat you this time, you shall give me half a crown for the poor box or next Sunday's collection. Kay was about to protest, for he had promised never to bet nor play cards for money, but the chubby-faced man said, of course, that would simply be sportsman's honour. Agreed, agreed. What? The foxy-faced man said as he twiddled the cards. Hark to Merlin, again the fatal sister spins her web. Mark her well, her hand, the hand of destiny, so shoots the weft across the serried warp, back the sword beats, and the sheer descends. Now which is the lady? Now he was this one, Kay said. I saw her from underneath as the cards went down. He was quite certain he had seen the Queen, but when he lifted the card, it was not the Queen. It was the Three of Hearts. Now, how did that happen, what? The foxy-faced man said. And that will be half a crown, please, for the correct collection in aid of decayed cellars, poor fellows, a debt of honour, you know. Kay felt very unhappy, but pulled out his purse and paid the half a crown. It may have been suspicion or error, yet it seemed to him that both men seemed very inquisitive, craning over to see what money was in his purse. So you carry your money in a purse, the chubby-faced man said. It is always a wise precaution, so much better than having it loose when it will get pulled out with handkerchiefs or what not. The foxy-faced man spread his cards. Now, Sir Lancelot, he said, it is 2 to you and 1 to me. Won't you give me the chance to get my equal? Kay thought he would already pass being equal and a good deal ahead, and he was sorely perplexed as to what to say. At this moment, however, the train began to slacken for a station. Ah, we stop here, what? The foxy-faced man said. Sir Dagonet, a word with you. He tapped his left ear and went out into the corridor. The chubby-faced man followed him. The train was at a little junction, Yarnton for Yockham Regis. 2 or 3 people left the train and others got in. I won't play cards any more, Kay decided. Nothing shall induce me.